Hi, I'm Natalie. Welcome to Sunday Crafternoon. Today we're going to work on some bottle cap art. I'm going to lead you through making the red flower that you see here, except we're going to make this one yellow. So in order to do this, you will need some kind of backdrop. I'm going to be using the piece of wood as pictured here. You're going to need one bottle cap for the center and then 10 more bottle caps to make the flowers, the petals on the flowers. You're going to also need a really good glue and some pliers. For the stem and for the leaves, I'm going to be using some split peas and some black beans. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place the bottle cap that's not going to be bent in the middle of my flower. When gluing it down, you want to get it very saturated with glue all the way around. And as you press it down, some of that glue is going to kind of seep out on the sides. So you might want to have a napkin or a Q-tip or even a paintbrush that allows you to kind of mop that up around the outside. I like this tacky glue because it doesn't dry too fast. You have time to work with it. Hot glue could be a good choice. It does dry a little faster, so you just have to move a little faster with the cleanup if you choose to use the hot glue. And you're gonna hold that in place and try not to knock it around to keep it nice and centered and let that glue dry there. So before we got together today, I went ahead and pre-painted my bottle caps. So mine are already bent and painted to the color that I want them to be. But I'm gonna give you some hints on bending the bottle caps. And you can decide if you like to paint them or not. You might like the color that they already are. And you can see how the bottle caps look on this one. These aren't painted, but you can still get that cool petal effect. So I'm gonna take my pliers and I'm just right in the middle. I'm gonna kind of pinch it in on one side and bend with my fingers forward. And then I'm gonna switch to the same place on the other side and pinch and bend it forward. And then, so now it's still kind of open, but I want to close it a little bit more. So now I'm going to get the halved bottle cap and just pinch it with the pliers all the way down. And whatever looks cool to you, go for it. So once you have your bottle caps bent and pinched in, you can use an acrylic paint or a spray paint. Just make note of whether it's water cleanup or if you need some mineral spirits for it, just know what you're getting into when you choose your paint. The acrylic, I used a paintbrush. That's how these red petals are done. And I painted them and let them dry, turned them over, painted another coat, let them dry, turn them over, paint a little coat. You really just want to make sure that this front side has a good coat on it. Same with the spray paint. You spray it, turn it over, spray it again, let it dry until you have a good coating on there. So now, these are the petals that we're going to add to our flower that we're going to make today. So we have 10 petals to place. So you want to just kind of map out how that's going to look before you start gluing. Spread them out evenly. Decide just how far you want them away from the bottle cap. You could spread them out a little bit if you're trying to fill a lot of space, or put them really close together. But keep in mind that you're going to be adding that stalk that's going to be the stem. So you want to have a place that you can go all the way up to that flat bottle cap. So there's going to be one little space to allow that to happen, and everything else is pretty evenly spaced. Then you're going to start with whichever one you like and get a good amount of glue here, and then place it down, and you want to hold it there until it really grabs a hold. So don't rush it, and kind of revisit them to make sure that they're standing upright and not tilting over, because they do tend to tilt over. So I'm going to start gluing my petals down, and I'll be right back. Hi, and we're back. I've got all my petals glued down. I'm going to keep this nice and flat and make sure that they don't lean. If I see them leaning, I'm going to straighten them while not lifting them, just kind of tilt them back over into place. So now we're going to move on to the stem, and I'm going to use the black beans to do this stem. And I'm going to save the green for the leaves, but you can mix that up if you like. So I'm going to take my glue, and I like the way it looked when the stem went all the way up to that green bottle cap that's in the middle. And I'm going to run that line just however, you can kind of arc it or go straight. It's really up to you. And just so it reads nicely, I'm going to make it nice and thick. But you want to do maybe 3 or 4 inches of it at a time. But really hump it up really pretty good to give it something to grab onto. So I've got my big chunk of glue right there, and I'm just going to drop them in and press, press, press. Some of these that kind of fell off to the side, I'm going to get those in a minute. I'll show you what I have in mind for that. But just press them, press them, press them. That's why it's important to have a lot of glue so it really just grabs on. And once you feel like you have most of them, and they don't have to be flat, some of them can be rolled over on their side. It kind of just makes it look cooler to have them be different and not so perfectly flat. And then you could do like a quick little turnover, and it'll drop out the loose ones, and then you just continue down. With this glue in particular, I noticed when I made this one, even if I had some of the white glue showing, it ended up drying clear. So if there's a little bit of glue that's still showing, that's okay. If it bothers you, you can take the Q-tip and kind of just clean it up and make a nice line with it where it shows less. So I'm continuing down the stem. And I'm just pushing those beans into the glue. And I'm going to add some more. Nice and thick. It's really the goopier the better here, because it'll make them easier to stay in place. And just drop another little fingerful here and push them down, push them down, push them down, and just work your way down the stem. If you wanted to take some of the green peas and add to this, you could, just to give it a little different color. If you don't have the color peas or beans that you like, you could use string or stones to kind of achieve the same effect. You just find something that the color works and make that work to make the stem and the leaves too. So I am almost down to the bottom. So I'm still pressing them in. And even the ones on top, I want to make sure that they're grabbing. And like I said, some of these white spots that are still showing, they're just going to dry clear. So certainly don't mess anything up, because that's there. And a few more to get to this bottom, and push them in, push them in. Okay, so I just kind of did my stem with a nice little curve. You can shape yours whatever works. And keep pushing those flat, flat, flat. Make sure none of them are too far away from the board. Sometimes they get stuck up high and they won't grab the glue. So you want to make sure everything has glue under it. And while that's drying, we're going to move on to the leaves. So if you prefer, you could have drawn this out before, the whole thing, to go over. But sometimes spatially you kind of just need to see it. So I'm just going to take the glue and draw out that leaf. So this is very free form the way I'm doing mine. If you have a specific idea, go ahead and draw it first. And really put the glue on so that it's thick. You won't have to go back and re-glue anything if it's good and thick in the beginning. So now we're going to move on to the green split peas. I'm going to drop those in the glue. And I think it looks cool when they're kind of layered on top and facing different directions. But you can arrange them whatever looks cool to you. And just push them into the glue. This particular glue works very well even after it's been placed for a while to reposition it. It's one of the reasons I like it for this project. And now I'm going to draw the other side. And when we get to closer to the end and we see exactly what the shape of these leaves actually came out to based on what stuck well, you can always go back with the glue and draw it out a little more perfectly, because sometimes the leaf comes out a little more square than you wish it was, or you're just not the right shape like a leaf. So you can always push them in and reshape them, or add a little more glue in the right place to give it the right leaf shape. So I'm gonna put some more green split peas on this side in the glue. And really push it down, layer it nicely. I know that I can kind of play with it to get it just in the right place. And I'm gonna push these down, and in a second, I'm gonna pick it up and kind of turn it over and let the loose ones come out, and I'll see what I have to work with. Might have to put a little more glue and to fill out those spaces, but it's okay if some of them fall out. And my hands are getting a little sticky with glue, so you may have to wipe your hands off of glue a little bit and then start over. Alrighty, so I'm gonna pick this up and kind of give it a gentle little tilt. Okay, not too bad. Same thing this way. They seem to be holding pretty well. And then I'm gonna come back with these where the glue is showing through and try to get them to grab on there. And any place where the leaf has lost its shape, to give it that good leaf shape. And you can add more glue if you need to, or just push these into the glue that's already there. So I think we're looking pretty good here. Now you're gonna wanna take this and put it in a safe place and let it dry flat so that this glue really grabs onto everything. And after about a day, I think a day is gonna be plenty, you will be able to hang it up or lean it against something or put it in a stand and display it somewhere. Nice. So I'm gonna gently tilt it so you can see it. Looks like all of the beans and peas are holding well. And you can see on this one, after it was completely dry, I went ahead and added 2 thumbtacks to the back, and then got a piece of string and figured out what length I wanted it to be, depending on where you want to hang it, and tie a knot. And that way you can hang this wherever you like. So I hope you enjoyed our Sunday Crafternoon this week. Tune in next time. Bye-bye.